afternoon. It's your friend, Dr. Kid Nave, checking in with you. Got a few things I want to say about the riots, the marches, the looting, and a lot of the other things that have been happening in the country. In the game of chess, you always have to contemplate, they say, up to 7 moves out. And the reason why this is important is because we're in a chess match right now, and a lot of the leaders of the movement don't seem to realize that, So what I say to the leaders of the movement, what's your next move? Because you created a distraction in the community that put law enforcement in a situation where they couldn't protect the neighborhoods. Now, there's no jewels, there's no Osco drugs, there's no Walgreens or CVS pharmacies. Where your parents gonna get you so-called revolutionaries in the black community, where your parents gonna get their medications filled? Where you gonna buy milk for your children? Where you gonna buy groceries? Did you think about that? Did you plan that 7 moves out in your chess strategy? I don't think so. Let me talk to you about a few things. There's a special interest group always on the ground in this country, influencing people in manners that we don't always know. They've got large money, they got deep pockets, and they call this one Antifa, and they're anarchists. And what they want to do is just destroy the country. They want chaos to reign. And if chaos reigns in this country, the people who are going to be most subjected and vulnerable to it are black people. And this is what we're seeing right now. I have a business that I run in the south suburbs. You can't drive through the south suburbs now. River Oaks is closed off. You can't get through from the city to Indiana. You have to snake your way through, and you have to give ID up. It's like we're like in an armed camp now. And you know where this all started? It started with the activists. It started with the so-called activists and those white anarchists that were walking around with masks on and pretending to be on the side of the Black Lives Matter movement, pretending to be with our struggle, when most of us were at home watching because we weren't sure what the leadership. See, anytime you can get that kind of organization, somebody with some really deep pockets has to sponsor it. So you have to ask yourself, who sponsored these marches? Who flew these white anarchists in? And have you been seeing the reports of groups of white men in trucks jumping out all of a sudden, smashing windows, looting, groups of white men starting agitation, tagging buildings with Black Lives Matter? They just want anarchy, everybody. You need to let that be known. The looters aren't responsible for the fires. Who burned the Dollar General on 95th Street? Black people ain't burning buildings down. They're trying to grab whatever they can to get out of there. So whoever set that building on fire on 95th followed the police scanners to the area, and they set it on fire because they're part of this white anarchist movement that's on the ground. Okay, let me talk about some other things here. Again, presently there are no supermarkets, no major pharmacies, no retail stores, no do-it-yourself stores like Home Depot and Menards. All of those are shut down. What's going to happen when your water heater goes out? And those high retail stores, and we already didn't have a Target on the south side. Now there are no supermarkets, and now you can't move out of your neighborhood freely into any other neighborhood where there might be a supermarket. Try going up north now. Try getting off that ramp 5 deep like you did when you rode on River Oaks. See, you all were playing checkers and y'all thought it was cute to run up in them people's stores and steal that merchandise. Now your communities are flooded with big screen TVs, gym shoes, alcohol, cigarettes, and in about 3 days, your kids are going to get hungry. In about 3 days, your belly going to start to grumble. Where you going to go get something to eat? Got a pocket full of cash, all the weed you can get because you got it from the dispensary. You got gym shoes up to the ceiling in your closet. But what about food? What about medicine? What about just being able to go to the doctor? I'm asking you. You got to answer those questions because all of that stuff's going. There are no retail stores open. And you know what? They don't have to open until they're ready. Walgreens doesn't have to reopen the pharmacy. You know what they're doing now? Everybody's strategizing on how to get the revenue out of the community and not put the merchandise at risk. So they're in their corporate offices And they're thinking about what you guys just did by looting all their stores. And they're saying, and you're going to be like I saw in Jamaica, where all the goods are behind bars. And you have to walk up and you have to order what you want, and you don't get to select or shop. And they're going to bring it down and they're going to charge you, and they're going to push it through a gate in the window, and you get to walk out with your stuff. So the intimacy of shopping is going to be history. No more Marshalls, no more Targets, no more of those anythings in our neighborhood anyway. And you're not going to be able to get to the other neighborhood. They call it societal reset. And you instigated it. The anarchists did it. And the Jamal Green, I'm calling you out. You don't have money like that. You're a young man. Who's sponsoring you? Jamal Green, where'd you get the money to put these protests on and be at the forefront and fly around the country? Tell me where you got that kind of money at 22. You think Martin Luther King would have staged a march and protest that he knew would lead to his community being destroyed and us not having the basic goods and services we need to survive as a people? It's impossible. He'd have never done that because he was a chess player. You playing checkers. You a knight. You think you're a king, but you a knight. And see, the knight has a real slick move on the chessboard because it moves like in an L-shaped fashion, and it can sneak attack. But it's always vulnerable to being caught in the cross angling of the rook moving horizontally and diagonally by the bishop or the queen. So you can move forward. You can only move in that L-shaped pattern. But once you get cornered, they're gonna show you who they really are, and you're gonna find yourself at the forefront of all the destruction in the community because the people are not gonna go without goods and services that they just destroyed. So now, what's your next move, chess player? Because you've been playing checkers, and they've been playing chess. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is we got to marshal a new plan. We got to figure out how to get groceries back in the neighborhood, how to get pharmacies open. If you know anybody that's got any kind of power in that area, tell them they need to start mobilizing. I've been making calls and other things. We got to get these protesters out. Those of you who let all of you who let this so-called activist movement and weren't thinking ahead and you just been running with folks, right now what we need to do is figure out a way to get these pharmacies open and these grocery stores open and protect them from looters. These people didn't know what they were doing. They were opportunists. They don't understand the ramifications of what's going on in the community. And all I can say is it saddens me. We got a big job ahead of us to keep our community thriving. Anybody got some ideas, let me know, inbox me. But right now, the main thing we can do is try to shut these marches down. These marches are costing us. Our police department can't even do the jobs of protecting the communities because they can't let the marches go into these select communities and just burn them down. And they know if they let them just march for free, they're going to burn them down. I'd rather them loot some stores and take all the merchandise out of the building and leave it standing than for them to just start setting fire to the city, which the anarchists will do because they're not from here. And they don't have a real commitment to the cause of freedom. They just want anarchy, and they're getting it. So if you're a part of these movements, shut them down. I'm going to be done with it. I'll report back to you later in the week on vaccines.